So we're finishing up this 9B section, and we've got a couple of word problems on page 27 that we're going to take a look at. And we're going to solve these again by the topic of this section, which is solving these quadratic equations by taking the square root. So we've got a formula here, and you'll see a lot of formulas that have quadratics in them, that have have a process where you've got an exponent other than 1. And so, and it always fascinates me to think, who comes up with these formulas? I mean, how can they know that these will always work? But apparently they do. So the height of a skydiver jumping out of an airplane is given by this formula, where h is the height that he is off the ground. So that means height off the ground. And time is in seconds. So if you think about, so like here's an airplane up here, here's the ground, here's the guy diving, splat, hits the ground right there. So if you think about what is his height off the ground at the minute he hits the land, it's 0. He is not off the ground at all. All in here, from when he takes the jump all the way down, he has an h, but we don't know what the measurement is, whether it's meters or yards or feet or whatever, but we know when he gets to the ground, his height is 0. So we're going to use that information to set up our equation. So we know our h is 0, and we want to know how long is it going to take him in seconds to get there. So here's our equation, the formula, and when does that equal 0? So that's either before he's left the ground, when he's still sitting on the plane on the tarmac, or when he actually comes back down and he's at 0. So to solve this using square roots, we're going to isolate the t squared. So we're going to have to subtract 3,200 from both sides. And you get minus 3,200 is equal to minus 16t squared. Divide both sides by minus 16. And you get t squared is equal to 200. So 200 is not a perfect square root, so we're going to go over here, and it says round to the nearest tenth of a second, so actually I'm going to get on my calculator and figure out what the square root of 200 is here in a minute. But we know that for our two answers, because we've got an exponent of 2, t is going to equal positive the square root of 200 seconds, and t is also going to equal negative the square root of 200. And this is in tenths of a second. So if you go on your calculator, you get the square root of 200 is 14.1, rounded to the nearest tenth of a second. And the negative value would be negative 14.1 seconds. Well, you need to throw out this answer. Mathematically, this is one of our solutions, but with the with the context of this word problem, there are no negative seconds. So our answer is this guy right here. One answer that makes sense for our word problem. All right, the next one, I apologize for the way that this looks in your booklet, because it looks much clearer here. You've got about, like, I'm looking at triples in the booklet. So anyway, this is what it's supposed to look like. And the zookeeper is trying to enclose the pen at the zoo. So this side here, the hypotenuse of this right triangle, is already has a fence. So all we have to worry about is buying fencing for these two sides that make up the right angle of the isosceles right triangle. It says the area of the pen, so this guy, area, is equal to 4,500 square feet. So we can use that information to figure out how long each one of these sides is to answer the question about how much fencing you have to buy. So we know the formula for the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. We know the area is 4,500. We know that the base is x and the height is x. So 4,500 is equal to 1/2 x squared. Isolate the squared term, which means you need to double 4,500. You get 9,000 is equal to x squared. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. So we're going to get x is equal to positive the square root of 9,000. think I said 900, but it's 9,000. And x is also going to equal negative the square root of 9,000 to come up with the two answers that we know we have based on our exponent. So when you get on the calculator and do that, you get x is equal to 94.87. But it says that the zookeeper has to go out and buy his materials in whole feet only. So if you round this to 95, then he needs to buy 95 feet for that side and 95 feet for this side. And of course, we're going to, again, throw out the negative fencing option because that doesn't make sense for our program, for our word problem. So 95, so the answer is going to be 95 times 2, which is 190, and what is it, square feet. So that's what he needs to buy, is 190 feet. Sorry, not square feet. All right, one more on this page. The surface area of a cube can be found by using this formula right here, where the capital S stands for surface area. If the surface area of the cube is given to us, they're asking us to find the x. So that's what we're going to do. So 486 is equal to 6x squared. Isolate the squared term, and you get x squared is equal to 81. And square root of both sides, so x is going to equal positive the square root of 81, x is equal negative the square root of 81. So x is equal to 9 or negative 9, but we're being asked to find the length of a side of a cube. So the negative answer makes no sense for our word problem. So the answer is 9 centimeters. And that's the end of this video. See ya.